Have you ever wondered why we memorize thousands of facts, store countless pieces of information, yet are rarely taught how to think correctly? Each day, we are swept along in a flood of data, knowing much but unsure of what is truly worth trusting, what is truly worth doing. And so, amid the world's constant noise, the mind grows heavy like a ship loaded with cargo but without a compass to find its way. Stoicism, a philosophy that has endured for over 2,000 years, offers us that very compass. It does not promise to change the world around you, but it gives you the strength to master the world within. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, true power lies in controlling your thoughts, not in forcing circumstances to bend to your will. When you grasp this, you cease to be someone dragged along by events, and instead become the one who shapes your responses, chooses your actions, and lives with intention each day. And now, we will explore 10 Stoic principles of thinking to begin that journey. 1. Recognizing the boundaries of control. One of the most essential foundations of Stoic thinking is the clear distinction between what lies within our control and what lies beyond it. This is not merely a mental skill, but a way of living that keeps the mind steady amid life's constant turbulence. In any situation, if we fail to recognize this boundary, we easily fall into the spiral of anxiety, anger, or disappointment, unconsciously draining our energy on what we cannot change. In contrast, when we know precisely what belongs to us, we can focus all our attention and effort on meaningful actions, creating a sense of agency and lightness. The Stoics believe that the only things we truly command are our thoughts, choices, and actions. Everything else, whether the opinions of others, unforeseen events, remains outside our absolute control. This awareness does not mean surrender or passivity. It is wise acceptance, freeing us from unrealistic expectations and from letting our emotions be ruled by external forces. When an outcome falls short of our hopes, instead of blaming ourselves or complaining, we ask, within what I can control, what have I done? What can I improve next time? This mindset opens a path of constant learning and progress, rather than trapping us in regret. Interestingly, when we stay within our sphere of control, we not only preserve mental energy, but also increase the effectiveness of our actions. Rather than being distracted by what cannot be altered, we spend time planning, refining our methods, honing our skills, and preparing for various scenarios. This preparation makes us ready to meet different challenges, reducing the chances of being caught off guard or thrown into chaos. Knowing our boundaries also allows us to respond with composure under pressure, for we are clear on where we stand and what truly demands our priority. A deeper benefit of this principle is that it frees the mind from the burden of the illusion of control. Many believe that with enough effort, they can dictate almost everything, yet in reality, the world contains countless variables beyond our reach. When we accept this limit, we learn to live more harmoniously with reality rather than resisting it. This is the inner freedom the Stoics valued, freedom from dependence on outcomes, on approval or disapproval, on matters never ours to dictate. Ultimately, recognizing the boundaries of control is not a lesson learned once and for all, but a continuous discipline. Each day we encounter situations that demand we ask again, is this mine to manage? That question is like a compass, steering us away from unnecessary storms. Once we grow accustomed to thinking this way, tranquility is no longer a luxury. It becomes the natural state of a mind devoted to what is truly its own. 2. Preparing the mind. Each morning, a new day is often imagined as a bright beginning, full of opportunity. Yet reality rarely follows the perfect script we envision. Life is full of variables. And at any moment, something unexpected can appear: a harsh criticism, an unforeseen mishap, or a sudden change that overturns our plans. This is why the Stoics advise that before entering the day's demands, we should take time to prepare the mind, as a warrior straps on armor before battle. This preparation does not come from pessimism or expecting the worst, but from the deep understanding that obstacles are an inevitable part of life's journey. When we accept their presence, we are no longer surprised or overwhelmed when they arise. Instead, the mind is ready, and a steady spirit allows us to respond with calm reason rather than emotional impulse. This is the art of premeditation, looking directly at the likelihood of difficulties and planning our stance, so that when they arrive, we act from trained judgment, not instinctive reaction. In Stoic thought, this is a form of daily mental rehearsal. By envisioning possible unfavorable scenarios, we create a mental buffer, a space where emotions settle and reason can work at full strength. Knowing such situations might occur lessens the shock and prevents overreaction. It is like a sailor charting a storm's path in advance. He cannot control the wind, but he can prepare how to set his sails. Morning mental preparation also expands our capacity for endurance. When we are used to the idea that a day may not go smoothly, we begin to see challenges as a natural part of life's flow. Rather than treating them as enemies to eliminate, we view them as exercises for our strength and patience. Each trial becomes a chance to measure our self-control instead of a reason to complain or give up. Another important aspect of this habit is that it keeps our focus inward. Once we accept that we cannot completely remove external factors, we invest more attention in our own responses, keeping our tone calm, analyzing the problem clearly, and acting in a way consistent with our values. Thus, even when plans change or results disappoint, we maintain a sense of ownership over our life. Ultimately, preparing the mind each morning is not only a strategy for handling hardship, it is a daily reminder of our inner power. It reinforces the truth that we are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we face it and turn it into material for growth. When this becomes a ritual, we build a mental foundation strong enough not only to endure life's trials, but to emerge stronger because of them. 3. Loving one's fate. In Stoic philosophy, amor fati, love of fate, is more than merely accepting what happens. It is learning to value and cherish even the roughest parts of life's path. It calls us to open our hearts not only to joy, but also to pain, seeing both as necessary pieces of the whole picture. By practicing this principle, we stop viewing adversity as an enemy and begin to regard it as a stern teacher, delivering lessons that cannot be learned elsewhere. The heart of amor fati lies in shifting perspective. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" the Stoic asks, "What is this here to teach me?" This reframing turns every experience, failure, loss, difficulty, into an opportunity to strengthen the inner self. When we can feel gratitude even for trials, resistance fades, and we open ourselves to harmony with the natural flow of events. The mind stops waging war against reality, freeing vast energy to invest in what can be changed and nurtured. Amor fati also demands the courage to face the truth that life is not designed to match our personal wishes. The world does not run on uninterrupted convenience, and every person will face moments when it feels as if everything stands against them. Instead of longing for a life without storms, the Stoic learns to love the waves themselves, knowing that only in rough waters are skill and endurance honed to their highest level. To love one's fate is to stop waiting for a perfect day and start living fully with what is here now, flaws and limits included. This principle also cultivates patience and gratitude. Loving fate means not only waiting patiently for good times, but feeling thankful even in hardship, knowing these moments are quietly shaping who we will become. Each challenge is an essential part of the process, not an obstacle to be erased. Such acceptance is far from resignation. It is the active choice to work with our circumstances, turning them into instruments of growth. Over time, amor fati brings deep peace. When we love our fate, we are no longer trapped in regret over the past or fear of the future. The mind is freed to be fully present, to savor the moment without constantly comparing it to what might have been. This peace is not the result of a perfect world, but the product of a mind reconciled with reality in all its forms. In essence, amor fati is an invitation to live with courage and gratitude, loving both the light and the shadow in our story. When we practice it, each day, whether it brings joy or trial, becomes a treasured part of the journey, and every experience is held as an irreplaceable gift. 4. Separating emotion from action. One of the most valuable abilities Stoic philosophy cultivates is the recognition that emotions and actions belong to two distinct realms. Emotions arise as a natural response of the body and mind to external events. They can be intense, forceful, and at times overwhelming. Action. How we choose to respond remains entirely within our control. Without making this separation, we easily allow fleeting feelings to dictate our behavior, leading to poor decisions or words we later regret. In contrast, when we observe emotions without instantly turning them into action, we grant ourselves the space for reason to step in, enabling wiser choices. Stoics do not view emotions as enemies, nor do they advocate suppressing or denying them. Instead, they treat emotions as signals, reflections of our inner state that help us understand what is influencing us. The problem arises only when those signals become absolute commands, forcing us to react immediately. Separating emotion from action means allowing feelings to exist without granting them control. This requires objective observation and the patience to let emotions settle before responding. This process begins with recognition. When an emotion appears, whether anger, fear, or disappointment, the first step is to acknowledge it honestly, without judgment. Next is to create mental distance, as if stepping back to see the full landscape instead of standing in the center of the storm. This distance can be formed through deep breathing, writing down one's thoughts, or simply remaining silent for a few moments. In that pause, reason has the opportunity to weigh options and foresee the consequences of each potential action. Separating emotion from action also means refusing to hand over control of ourselves to circumstances or to other people. When we react impulsively, we allow the external world to dictate our conduct. But when we remain calm and choose our response with intention, we affirm our inner freedom, the Stoics' most prized possession. This is not coldness or apathy, but the ability to unite emotional awareness with the strength of reason, acting according to core values rather than immediate urges. The deeper benefit of this principle is that it builds stability and trust, both with others and with ourselves. When people know that our responses are not dictated by momentary moods, they are more likely to trust and cooperate with us. At the same time, we develop self-trust, knowing that even in the most stressful situations, we can act in alignment with reason and virtue. Separating emotion from action is the art of self-mastery at its deepest level. It does not aim to remove emotion, but to place it in its proper role as information to consider, not orders to obey. With enough practice, we find ourselves less drawn into negative reactions, more able to keep composure, and more consistent in making decisions that reflect the person we aspire to be. 5. Practicing intentional silence. In daily life, words can be tools for building or for destruction, depending on how we use them. For this reason, Stoics regard silence not merely as the absence of speech, but as an active and powerful state. Practicing intentional silence does not mean abandoning one's voice. It means choosing the right moment and manner of expression so that our words carry true weight. When we pause before speaking, we create space to observe, analyze, and consider, rather than being swept into the whirlpool of instant reaction. This silence is the pause between stimulus and response, the moment when reason can take command instead of emotion. It creates a mental buffer that prevents us from being provoked by others' words or actions. By restraining ourselves from speaking in haste, we preserve our calm, prevent conversations from escalating into pointless conflict, and protect our relationships. Stoics understand that a spoken word cannot be taken back. Thus, choosing silence until we are ready to speak is an act of respect toward both ourselves and those before us. Intentional silence also deepens our ability to listen. Without rushing to respond, we can fully focus on understanding others, discerning the meaning beneath their words, and sensing the emotions they carry. This deeper listening not only improves the quality of communication, but ensures we gather complete information before making judgments or decisions. Such understanding is the foundation for mutual trust and respect, and it helps us avoid needless misunderstandings. At a deeper level, silence is a means of nurturing the inner life. In those quiet moments, we can question ourselves, review our thoughts, and assess whether our intended reaction aligns with our values and long-term aims. It is a space where reason tests impulsive urges, ensuring that when words are finally spoken, they are the product of deliberate choice, not rash emotion. As a result, each statement gains weight, meaning, and purpose. In essence, intentional silence is not passive. It is an expression of self-mastery. It is the decision not to let circumstances or feelings dictate our speech, but to use words as instruments of truth, reconciliation, or progress. Through this practice, we become steadier, calmer, and better able to guide the situation rather than be guided by it. Ultimately, Stoic silence is not an empty void, but a space full of potential for observation, for understanding, and for wise action. Each time we choose silence at the right moment, we not only safeguard our relationships and reputation, but also strengthen our ability to govern the mind, an essential key to a life of peace and direction. 6. Accepting uncertainty. Life never stands still, nor does it follow a fixed script. No matter how carefully we plan, there will always be variables beyond our foresight. Change may arrive suddenly, sometimes gently, sometimes violently, and rarely does it ask our permission before appearing. The Stoics understood this reality and chose to live in harmony with it rather than in opposition. Accepting uncertainty is not abandoning effort or living carelessly. It is understanding that the flow of events will always bring something new, and our task is to adapt wisely. Uncertainty unsettles many because it feels like the loss of absolute control. Yet upon closer observation, we see that absolute certainty is an illusion. Even the most seemingly fixed things can shift over time. Thus, instead of clinging to a false sense of stability, Stoics urge us to focus on our capacity to respond and to keep a steady mind in the face of the unknown. This approach lessens our anxiety about the future and heightens our ability to fully enjoy the present. Accepting uncertainty also means releasing the obsession with controlling outcomes. Instead of tying our happiness to a specific vision, we learn to find joy in the process itself, with all its randomness and surprises. Each moment becomes an opportunity to observe, to learn, and to adjust. When the mind no longer demands that everything unfold according to its will, we can respond more flexibly to new situations, turning challenges into chances to train our clarity and resilience. Another vital aspect of accepting uncertainty is that it deepens our sense of gratitude. Knowing that all things can change or disappear, we value more deeply what is here now. Instead of taking the good for granted, we recognize its worth in this very moment, aware that it may not remain tomorrow. This awareness creates a profound connection to the present, enabling us to live fully and not miss the chance to appreciate what we have. The Stoics also remind us that accepting uncertainty is part of inner freedom. When we are no longer enslaved by the need to predict or control every result, we free ourselves from the weight of constant worry. This freedom does not come from eliminating risk, but from meeting it with calmness and clarity. It is the ability to remain steady even when the world around us changes without pause. In the end, accepting uncertainty is a principle that allows us to live peacefully in a world of constant change. It teaches us to value the present, fear the future less, and cultivate the adaptability needed to face any condition. By practicing it, we not only ease our anxieties, but also awaken an inner strength capable of carrying us forward through life's unending shifts. 7. Setting internal goals. On the path of self-development, people often become absorbed in external goals, measurable outcomes, recognition from others, or tangible rewards. Yet Stoic philosophy points out that such aims easily bind us to factors beyond our control. When we succeed, we may feel pride, but when we fail or receive no recognition, our spirit can quickly sink into disappointment and loss of direction. This is why the Stoics encourage shifting focus from external goals to internal ones, values, virtues, and personal growth that we can fully govern. Internal goals are not measured by comparison with others, but by honesty with ourselves in the process. They center on sustained effort, skill improvement, and acting in alignment with one's principles, regardless of external results. When pursuing internal goals, joy and fulfillment come from knowing we have given our best, not merely from reaching a number or a specific achievement. This sustains motivation even when the road is difficult or the outcome falls short of expectations. Stoics understand that final results are always influenced by factors beyond our will. Circumstances, timing, unforeseen change, but our actions and effort remain ours to command. By anchoring ourselves in internal goals, we ensure that our labor retains meaning even if results are delayed. This stability shields the mind from excessive swings between elation and despair, preserving the balance essential for long-term growth. Another key benefit of setting internal goals is the cultivation of patience. When outcomes no longer solely define worth, persistence in training and learning becomes easier. Each day becomes an opportunity for progress, and every small step is a success in itself. This stands in stark contrast to external goal thinking, which can lead to quitting if rewards do not arrive quickly enough. Internal goals also free us from dependency on others' approval. When our actions are rooted in inner values, we are less swayed by praise or criticism. Confidence is then built from within, grounded in the knowledge that we have lived by our principles and given our all. This is the foundation of inner freedom, a state the Stoics constantly strive for. In short, setting internal goals ensures that our lives are not steered by forces outside us. It sustains lasting motivation, nurtures patience, and builds self-confidence that does not depend on circumstance. When we live by this principle, every step forward, no matter how small, becomes a victory, and the journey of self-improvement grows far more complete and meaningful. 8. Living for the community. In Stoic thought, humans are not isolated individuals, but parts of a greater whole, a community bound by responsibility, cooperation, and shared benefit. Stoics believe we exist not merely to satisfy personal needs, but to contribute to the growth and stability of the collective. This understanding arises from the recognition that no one can be entirely self-sufficient in a complex world, and that each action, however small, ripples outward to affect others. Living for the community does not mean blindly sacrificing oneself, but balancing personal interests with the common good. In making decisions, the Stoic considers their impact not only on themselves, but also on family, friends, colleagues, and society at large. This approach leads to constructive actions, fosters enduring bonds between people, and encourages environments where everyone can thrive. The principle of living for the community also trains us to set aside the ego for a shared goal. It requires the humility to acknowledge that individual success often depends on the support, cooperation, and contributions of others. With this awareness, we become more willing to help, to share knowledge and skills, and to create opportunities for others to achieve their aims. Such mutual exchange builds collective strength, a power that no single individual could match alone. Living for the community also extends the reach of our positive influence. Acts of kindness, timely support, or well-placed encouragement can bring profound change we may never fully see. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that every ethical action, however small, reinforces the moral fabric of society. When individuals act with community consciousness, our shared environment becomes healthier, safer, and more supportive of lasting growth. Another crucial aspect is that living for the community brings deeper meaning to life. Knowing our actions benefit others allows us to measure our existence not just by personal success, but by the positive change we help create. This sense of purpose fuels a durable motivation that far surpasses the fleeting satisfaction of private achievement, and it strengthens the spiritual bond between ourselves and those around us. Living for the community is a principle through which both individuals and the collective can grow in harmony. It demands a balance between caring for oneself and contributing to others, between affirming personal worth and nurturing shared values. Practiced consistently, it builds a better present and lays a strong foundation for future generations where cooperation, respect, and generosity stand as core virtues. 9. Voluntarily enduring discomfort. In Stoic philosophy, the training of willpower and endurance comes not only from trials imposed by circumstance, but also from challenges we choose for ourselves. Voluntarily enduring discomfort is a principle designed to harden the spirit before life forces us into hardship. By placing ourselves in less comfortable conditions, we create the chance to observe our reactions, master them, and expand our limits. This method makes the mind more adaptable and ready to face the unexpected without being shaken. Stoics see constant comfort as something that can weaken mental resilience. When we live too long in the safety of ease, even minor disruptions can provoke unease or distress. By deliberately seeking experiences that demand effort or involve inconvenience, we break the habit of dependency on comfort, learning to find calm and stability even in scarcity or pressure. The goal is not self-punishment, but the building of a firm inner foundation from which to face life's real trials with greater ease. Voluntarily experiencing discomfort also helps us distinguish between true needs and passing wants. When we temporarily give up something familiar, we have the opportunity to assess its real importance and discover whether we can live without it. This insight grants freedom, for we are no longer tightly bound to external conditions for our peace of mind. The less we depend on, the more capable we become of maintaining equilibrium in any circumstance. Moreover, this principle strengthens our resolve under pressure. By stepping willingly into difficulty, we compel ourselves to adapt and to remain clear-minded rather than react by instinctively avoiding the challenge. Repeating this process forms a habit of measured response, enabling us to meet real-world trials with a steadier spirit. In doing so, confidence is built not by evading hardship, but through the experience of overcoming it. Voluntarily enduring discomfort is an essential exercise in Stoic discipline. Its purpose is not to seek suffering, but to cultivate resilience and adaptability, helping us act from choice rather than compulsion in the face of adversity. Through this practice, we turn moments of inconvenience into valuable lessons, reinforcing both fortitude and inner freedom. And when unexpected hardship arrives, we are not overwhelmed because our mind has already been prepared. 10. Continually examining and adjusting your thinking. In Stoic philosophy, self-mastery is not a state achieved once and held forever. It is a continuous process of refinement, examination, and adjustment. The mind, like any tool, will grow dull if not regularly sharpened. New experiences, fresh challenges, and changes in circumstance can render old perspectives outdated or ill-suited. For this reason, the Stoics see self-reflection and the adjustment of one's thinking as an essential part of the journey. To continually examine the mind means to regularly ask ourselves, do my current beliefs still reflect reality? Are my decisions born of reason or swayed by fleeting emotion? Are the principles I follow moving me closer to a life of virtue and peace? These questions are not meant to breed blind doubt, but to ensure that we do not run our lives based on outdated assumptions or unconscious biases. Adjusting one's thinking does not mean changing course on a whim. It is a deliberate process of refinement, like a patient sculptor removing excess stone to reveal a more perfect form. Sometimes the adjustments are small shifts in approach, yet they create a profound difference in how we perceive and respond to the world. Such flexibility does not erode identity, it enables us to adapt more effectively to new situations while holding fast to our core values. The Stoics understand that the human mind easily falls into inertia, continuing along familiar paths even when they no longer serve us. Regular examination helps us identify and break unproductive thought patterns before they become barriers. At the same time, it reinforces the principles that have proven their worth, cementing them as a sturdy foundation for action. The deeper benefit of continually examining and adjusting our thinking is that it keeps the mind in a constant state of learning and growth. When we are willing to reassess our views, we open the door to new knowledge and fresh perspectives. This creates the ideal conditions for wisdom and character to mature, enabling us to remain adaptable, discerning, and steadfast in the face of change. From my perspective, the 10 Stoic principles of thought are not merely ancient philosophical concepts, they are practical life tools for shaping a grounded and purposeful existence. Their greatest value lies in their power to bring us back to our inner strength, reminding us that peace, power, and direction come not from circumstances, but from how we choose to respond and act. In a world of constant change, maintaining clarity of thought and consistency in principles is a great challenge, yet it is the only way to protect our inner freedom. Practicing these principles not only helps us reduce impulsive reactions and needless anxieties, but also provides a solid foundation for wise decisions, for living in alignment with our values, and for pursuing lasting growth both for ourselves and for the community around us. If you found value in these reflections, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future content. Remember, the world outside may change daily, but the power to govern your mind and the way you choose to live is always in your hands. And when you truly master that, you will have found a freedom that nothing can take away. See you in the next video.